Kakadosh Boker Or. We are right now in business halacha. We are going to continue. Yeah. There was a beautiful Ramban and a Migash that I wanted to share with you before we continue. It's not on these booklets. You guys remember that I told you that there was going to be different explanations. What is the pshat to do with the fish? So we said one explanation that when the fish are going to come, right? You remember we said that you have to distance your net from the other nets of the fishermen, one parsa, which is around 4 kilometers, right? That's what we said yesterday. Now, what's something very interesting that we ask ourselves is why exactly? Yeah, so it's actually brought down as follows, something very interesting, right? It's brought down as follows. It says, we thought, what's the explanation of the fish? We said fish were different because what?
Because once the bait is down, the fish is focused on that.
הפיש בא לבית שלך, לא לאזור שלך.
Okay, and therefore what? And therefore? So once I've got my net there, so then what happens? So he's going to come to you. But is he already in your net? No. No? That's what we said? No. But it's like it's caught, correct? Yeah? Everybody agree or not? Very good. Says the Ramban, Shane Dagim Di'ave Sara, Mefaresh Baruch. The Aruch was another Rishon. And he comes and he says, Lefi Shem Mabitim Lemerachok, they're going to look far away. Meaning fish see from far. Kan, so now when they're eating here, they're already putting their eyes somewhere else to see if there's mizonot b'makom acher. Upe'amim shenitzodu bareshet. So they're already technically inside the trap. They're already inside of the net, right? And then what happens? The second that they come and they see mizonot somewhere else, so then they go somewhere else. Gezel gamur, and that's 100% gezel, because they were already caught. That is the aruch. And then he brings down Rashi. So the Ramban brings down the aruch, which is the exact opposite of what we learned. We thought that the ki'ilu, that what happens is the second that the fish sees our food, ki'ilu is automatically only going to come to us. Umimela, even though it's not trapped, it's like it's trapped. Here, all of a sudden, the Ramban is bringing down the aruch, the exact opposite. That really, be'emet, he looks for far. So even though he's eating right now, he's already in your net. And all you have to do is pick up the net and you caught him. But he sees food further on. So what happens? He's going to run away.
The big difference here, according to what you're saying, is that if a customer is loose, according to the first installation, is that the fish is available to go anywhere. And the second Mefalesh, she says, if he's already in the store, that's when you can't.
Very good. Even though we did say that in a store that human beings were worse than fish, if you remember. Yeah, because, yes. So we did say that it's not really compared, but I just wanted to give you another explanation in the other.
One is the second case is more
gezel, because it's already in your net. 100%. There was another explanation brought down by the Rabbi Migash, which he says something very interesting. He wants to say that the reason why you could tell me that you're taking away my livelihood is because they sense the traps. Meaning what happens is that if I only have one trap, right? So then what happens is that people are not, meaning the fish, they're not ready for it. So therefore I could come and I could catch them and that's it. But if all of a sudden you have one trap and then another trap, and what happens is then the fish starts seeing, oh, 1 second, there's something wrong here. That means there has to be a whole bunch of traps here. So what happens? He completely just runs away. So because of that, אתה הורס לו, בגלל זה פסקת לחיותי. זאת אומרת, אתה עצרת אותי בגלל, כאילו, אם אני לבד, the fish don't even realize. But the second that I'm going to have a field, so then, הם רואים, no, nowhere to go, boom, they run the other direction. Yeah. זה intuition. אתה יודע מה זה intuition? כן, אינטואיציה. זאת אומרת, הם מסתכלים על זה, כן?
אח שלי כתוב, איך חז"ל הבינו שהדגים יש להם...
הם יודעים את זה. אתה יודע, אפילו בהמה רגילה, יש לו אינטואיציות, ופתאום הוא מרגיש, ופתאום אתה רואה את זה. לא, לפני השחיטה שלה, לפני שהיא נלכדת. ודאי. ודאי. Well, get out of here. ודאי. Do you know that there's been cases, right, where you come and you look at the eye of the cow and it's tearing, right before Shechita, he knows exactly what's going to happen. There's nothing what the
You serious?
ודאי, ודאי, אין שום ספק.
לא
Right?
שמעת כלב בוכה? כן. אבל מה, אני
100%.
חשבתי על דגים, אבל אין להם כאילו כזה.
לא, יש להם 100%.
דג יש לו...
יש להם 100%, יש להם. They have the intuition. Any animal will have an intuition when that it's going to be caught. It feels it. It has a bad, they feel it. They have it. Listen, if human beings can have it, why can't animals have it? I see human beings have it all the time.
Storing up petrol from sheep. He said, go day, that's what they're born.
Exactly.
And he got punished, and then until they
Exactly. Until he comes there. Everyone, you just heard. There was a famous story with Rabbeinu Kodosh that also happened with Eliyahu Navi, by the way, with the Nevi Abal, to do with his para and the other para that the para started speaking, right? But what happened is that, right, he went and he said, you have to go to that place. Why? Because this is what you were created for, which means, right, what does that mean? The animal didn't want to go. Now, why does an animal want to go? Because the animal didn't want to do an avera, meaning that you have an intuition. The animals have it. It's there. It's embedded in them as well. Yeah? Oh, what do you say? Sorry. And now he starts asking after he's busy with his phone. Put down the phone and out. So out. That's it. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Kuf Nun Vav, Sif Hey. Chutzpah Yasgeh. This is a generation. Yeah. So he comes and he says like this. Yeah. Kofin bene mavui ze et ze. Everybody has it? We're on page 13. So it says, Kofin bene mavui ze et ze, shelo lo shiv benehem lo chayav velo brusi velo cham bale umuniyot. Right? So we force each other not to come and to put them there. Let's say you had one of the people there, they didn't give them a rebuke. Or so they had a bathhouse or a store, or a chaim. Now comes the friend, and he made another one. Or, right? He comes and he starts making another mill. He cannot come, and he cannot stop him. And to tell him, only with that. Yeah, he says, אתה פוסק חיי, ואפילו היה מבנה מבוי אחר, אינם יכולים למונו שיש ביניהם אותם אומנות. What does it sound like? Did you hear?
Not the only one.
No, because you're bothering the shiur. I'm on a recorded line, remember that. Yeah, one more time. Shulchan Aruch comes and he says as follows. We're on page 13 for those that were too busy and therefore they didn't hear the page, right? So therefore, it says like this: Kofin bene mavui ze et ze, which sounds very familiar to a Gemara that we learned. We're going to force the people of a mavui from one to another, meaning the one people of the mavui could force other people of the mavui. Shelo leoshiv benehem, not to put inside of them, right? Not to have beside them lo chayat. Chayat is a tailor. Right? Velo bursi. Bursi is a tanner. Yeah, a tanner. Tanner for skins. Orot, leather. Yeah, velo echad mibelei umanuyot. Right? Or other types of craftsmen. Now says the Shulchan Aruch, haya sham b'mavui echad mibnei mavui uman. What happens if you have an uman within the mavui? Velo michubo. And they never gave him an uman. Uman is a craftsman, right? Velo michubo. They didn't come. They didn't rebuke him. O shayita sham merchatz o chanut o rechaim uba chavero ve'asa merchatz acheret kenegdo, right? And his friend does it opposite him, right? O tachino acheret kenegdo. Eno yachol lemon. Oh, you can't stop him and say ata posek chayai. Va'afilu היה מבני מבוי אחר, אינם יכולים למונעו שיש ביניהם אותה אומנות.
But it's according to which one?
So who's that like?
There is somebody who's doing Romanut in the Mavur, he didn't have the right.
No, he did have the right.
He did have the right.
Yes. So basically like this, let's try to analyze. Here, the Shulchan Aruch brings down the same halacha which is brought down in the Rambam. The Rambam is going to come and bring us down a new halacha. And that new halacha is that says the Rambam in Ilchot Shchenim Perek Vav, he comes and he says that you could stop somebody else from doing business in your mavui if it's going to cause bother. What does that mean? Imagine right now I have, right, a school. right? So if I have a school, imagine a residential area, I open up a school in my house. So it's going to bother. Why? Traffic, noise, parking, all these things. It bothers. So therefore, right, I could stop you. Why? Because now this has nothing to do with the rules of the shchenim. This has nothing to do with the rules of competition. This has to do with the rules of ilchot shchenim. Why? Because it bothers. But says the Shulchan Aruch something very interesting. What happens if we already have one there? So let's say we have a mill already in the Mavui, in our side street, or we have a
double the it's worse there because you're making it worse here.
One second. The second that I have, whether it's a mill or whatever it is that we have, now you can't stop me. Says the Shulchan Aruch, why? And this is based upon the Rambam. Why? Because the second that there's already one there, so therefore you cannot say it bothers me another one. That's Shulchan Aruch.
It started bothering you right now. It's because of the traffic that the second one caused.
No. But that's what he says. He says you cannot stop it. Okay, that's what he says.
Don't have a space for two schools.
That's what before legally. 1 minute. Before you're legal.
Then is one school. It's okay, the traffic, the parking, whatever, But two schools, more people.
But that's what he says. Again, one more time. The Shulchan Aruch says. I'm going to read to you. He says, "Haya sham b'mavui echad mibnei mavui uman velo michubo." So they didn't rebuke him. Now, one second. What do you mean they didn't rebuke him? It means that I opened up, let's say, a store in my house, and nobody told me anything. So what happens? Right? Or there was a merchatz, a chanut, rechaim, right? Uba chavero, his friend comes, and he does the exact same thing. ועשה merchatz אחרת כנגדו, תכון אחרת כנגדו. אינו יכול למונעו, you cannot stop him and say, אתה פוסק חיי. Right? ואפילו היה מבנה מבוי אחר, אין אנחנו יכולים למונעו, שיש ביניהם אותה אמונות, because they have that אומנות. Yeah? So,
is this מצד competition or מצד שכנים?
Which one?
מצד competition or מצד שכנים?
So there's two things. That's what we're going to see.
Because
There's שתי דברים. We're going to see. It's two things.
Pay taxes,
What?
that comes from
No. We're talking about the same one. One second. 1 minute, but you're in the same city. 1 minute. Says the Rama, ורבים האומרים דבני החצר ומבוי שאינו מפולש, אפילו בחיי גבנה, יכולים למחות, אלא דבעל האומנות אינו יכול למחות, לומר אתה פוסק חיי. Says the Rama, I'm going to split the two halachot, because there were two halachot brought down here. Number one, halachot of tacharut, competition, and number two, halachot that you're bothering me. Right? The shchenim, ilchot shchenim. So says the Rama, ורבים האומרים דבני החצר או המבוי שאינו מפולש. Right? What happens now if you have a lot of people and the mavui is not mefulash? You know what not mefulash is? It means it's like a dead end street. It's not like so for example here Abbott is open, but where Laurent lives on 93rd, and that's already a mavui she'eno mefulash. It's not mefulash. Yeah, ודאי. זה לא מפולש. לא משנה. Yeah. So he comes and he says, right, in such a case, יכולים למחות. They could stop him, right? Limchot. Which one? Yes, that they could be mumche. Ela de bala umanut and יכול למחות לומר, but he can't say it mitzad the competition. Because mitzad the competition, we said you're allowed to. Because as long as you're from the same mavui, there's no problem. But mitzad the halachot of the bothering you of traffic and things like that, if it's a mavui mefulash, so if it's going to be like a Byron, which is all open, right, from the beginning to the end, so then I can't really say anything. Why? It's all open. But if it's going to be like a dead end street,
it's a foof,
right? Then it's a dead end street, then you could stop. Aval, says Maran. Yeah. Not the first one. Aval ger ממדינה אחרת. Right? Somebody that lives in another, here we're talking about somebody that lives in another מדינה, שבא לעשות חנות בצד חנותו של זה, או מרחץ בצד חנותו של זה, יש להם למונו, right? You could actually stop him. So here we see that we're paskening like Rav Huna Bereder Rav Yoshua. Right? Why? Because he says I could only stop somebody that's coming from another city. I could not stop somebody from the same mavui, from the same place. Right? But if he's going to give minat melech, which is basically going to be the taxes, so then they could not stop him. Okay? So that is going to be Maran. Now, before going to the Ramah, I have to learn with you the Avi Asaf. The Avi Asaf is going to be on page 13. By the way, if you want, first let's go to 13 on the bottom first, and then we'll go to 15. 13 on the bottom, look in the Hebrew. Yeah? אתה קורא את זה? חשוב לציין, it's important to note, שיש בית עניינים מעורבבים בדברי המחבר. There are two things which are written in the words of Maran. There are two things which are mixed up here. אחד, עיכוב השכנים מחמת הרעש של הנכנסים. Two subjects. What are the two עניינים? עיכוב השכנים מחמת הרעש של הנכנסים ויוצאים, which means that they could stop you because of נכנסים ויוצאים, which does make sense. And number two, עיכוב בני האומנות מחמת הפסקת חיותם. The halachot of תחרות, right, which is basically going to be competition. דעת המחבר שאם יש כבר מאותה אומנות במבוי, אינם יכולים לעכב על השני מחמת הרעש. שיטת מרן, the second that you have one, I cannot stop because of the second one. Even though you're right that the second one is causing more, but the second that I already let one in, I can't say no to the second one.
But we said if it's tafuf.
No, 1 minute, 1 second. The Rama argues on him, right? The Rama argues, right? And he says, right, that no, that it's going to be tzafuf. That's the Rama. So Maran, according to Maran, the second that I let one in, I cannot stop the second one. Huh? This is far away. The Rama, no, you're bothering. Yeah. What about now Pisuk Chayut? Yeah, what about the Tacharut? So he says, Pasak Maran, Keravuna ben Yeshua. So Maran Paskins, Keravuna ben Yeshua. שאם הוא מבני העיר או משלם מס העיר, הם אינו יכולים לעכב עליו, ורמה פלי בפרט זה, שאם אינו דר בעיר ורק נותן מס העיר, יכולים לעכב על כל פעמים שלא יפתח במבוי שלהם. Says the Rama, I agreed to Maran that obviously if you're going to come from another city, right, you're not going to be able to open up. But what does Maran say when you pay taxes? You could. Says the Rama, even though the Maran just said that you could, I argue on Maran on a detail that even though you could, but we could stop you from this mavoi. Meaning you're paying taxes for the city. But why are you opening up in Surfside? I don't want you in Surfside. So go to Aventura.
But if he opens up another can of worms.
And then all of a sudden Aventura, they could stop him to send him to Brickell. And that's right. So that's the Rama. So the Rama comes and he says that אני לא יכול לעצור אותך בתוך כל העיר, בגלל סוף סוף אתה משלם בעיר. אבל אתה לא משלם בשביל Surfside, אז תלך לאבנטורה. תלך למיאמי ביץ', תלך למקום אחר.
Bal Harbor, Bay Harbor.
Fine, okay, you're going very, it could be that maybe the Bay Harbor, Bal Harbor, it could be that it's all one city. It could be that it's all one city.
Sorry to see for that. You take the meat, you can, according to the other comment, it's out of that, but the city allows it to take it to big meat.
If the city allows it, well, if the city allows it, probably because of Dina no, well, technically no. If he could still take him to Bedin, because even if the city allows it,
Same block.
the Bedin could still enforce it and say that you're pasak lechiyute. Yeah, the Bedin will take the Dina de Malchuta Dina into account probably, but at the end of the day, we have to be stringent. The question is, what about the other way around? Like it's not like meaning that what happens if we want to be machmir and the city allows it? There, it's much more complicated because technically speaking, the city, if they're allowed to, so then how much can you enforce? But technically, but mitzad halacha, they could probably still try. They could try. Again, they won't be able to enforce anything, right? But they could try. Yeah. But listen to this. The Aviyasaf is on page 15. Look in 15 where there's the highlight. And with this, we're going to finish. It says, "Umavui asatum migimel stadin, verak betzad echad yikansu lo." What happens right now? You have a mavui. Everyone has it where there's the highlight, right? Everyone has the highlight. No. Sorry, up here, Mr. Rav Katzin, over here. You see over here, there's like a line. So by that line, right, that's what we're starting to read. It says mavui asatum gimel stadin. What happens if you have a mavui that is closed on three sides and only one side is open? V'dar Reuven etzel sofo asatum. Now, where's Reuven? He lives at the end of the block. ובא שמעון לדור כנגד הצד הפתוח, שאין העובד כוכבים יכול ללך, אם לא ילך תחילה לפני פתח שמעון. Now what happens? I buy a house at the beginning of the block, right? At the opening. And now I'm going to open up, and now I'm going to intercept. נראה יכול לעכב עליו כדרב הונא. I could stop him just like Rav Huna, right? So it says over here, right? This is נכסי העובד כוכבים. וגם בפרק האומר, who is this? Aviyasaf. So that means something incredible. We have here in Avi Asaf, and we're actually going to see in the Pitchet Shuvah that there's going to be a machloket. What is the pshat in the Avi Asaf? But for sure, what the Avi Asaf is telling us is an incredible yesod. If to get to you, I have to pass by somebody else, the competition, I could stop him. Now the question is, does this go according to everybody?
No, listen, same mavui, same mavui. So, Ravuna says we could. So obviously we can.
Ravuna or Ravuna ben Yeshua? It's impossible for you to pass without going through him. You know where they do this, by the way? They do this in the airports. In the airports, they purposely do them many times in order to get to your gate. You have to go through a store or multiple stores. IKEA.
You have to go all around and they say,
You went to Walt Disney?
Huh?
You went to Walt Disney?
Yes.
You finished the ride.
Get a store.
You finished the ride. You have to go to the theme store. All the teddy bears and
Exactly.
kids destroy you.
Exactly. Before you go out. Exactly. That's the concept. Right? Yeah, but you know what? You're talking about for little kids. I was talking about for big kids. So I'm talking about in the airport when it's for big kids that they were traveling and all of a sudden they come and they have everything that you want there and they tell you that it's tax-free and everything else. So what happens? So you're forced to go through it. So the question is that Ribono Shel Olam, if you're forced to go through the store,
go from the curtain to the lamps and so on. Otherwise, you go to the kitchen and everything.
they purposely do it. You're right. By the way, you should know, where do they do this the most? I don't know if you ever heard this. This I heard from somebody, right? Did you ever realize that the majority of stores, produce is at the entrance? Produce means fruits and vegetables are at the entrance. Why? Not in Publix, but in the majority of other stores, it's always at the entrance. You go to a Walmart, it's always right in the entrance. Why? Because the profit margin is the highest. So therefore, purposely,
They write the price.
okay,
They don't write it.
right? So therefore, because of that, right, because of that, purposely, when you go in, it's the first thing that you see. The first thing that you see is the fruits and vegetables, right? The first thing.
Because the rest of the products, you can leave it on the shelf for another 2 years.
Okay, so that could be another reason. It could be another reason, no, but it's also because of the profit margin. And by the way, you should know it's only this Publix. Because if you go on Publix on Biscayne, right, the first thing that you do on Biscayne and I don't remember what street it is, before 135th Street, it's Biscayne and whatever it is. You go there right away. You go in, the first thing on your right side, produce. And you're going in the right side. Huh?
Every Publix that you go in, 99% of the Publix, if they're brand new, right.
Yeah, it's always the right. Well, the truth is here, it's also to the right. The only thing is a little bit further in because you have first the food. Which one? Fine, but the kavanah, but it's always going to be on the right side. It's not in the opposite corner of where you're coming in. It's always in the entrance. Pay attention. Winn-Dixie, right? You go to Winn-Dixie on Aventura. The majority of stores, produce will always be at the entrance, and the reason why is because it's got the highest profit margin, and therefore they purposely do it that way. Right at the cash registers, what do they always put? Snacks. Why do they put all these candies and snacks? Because they know that if you were just hungry and you just came thing, the first thing that you're going to do is just say, you know what, it's only $1, something like that. Boom, you start taking. That's why it sells so quick. That's why they always put that at the entrance. The drinks, the dates, that always by the register. Everything is done by chokhmah. You understand? Not just stam. Fine.